Hey, we're back today, and I really want to just jump in here today. Certain things that I kind of wish I knew in my 20s. I have other videos as well. Certain facts, or not, not real facts, but untrue facts or untrue myths that I had of money in my 20s that have totally changed now that I'm in my 30s and what I've learned so far about money. And the topic we're gonna be talking about today, as always, as I usually talk my videos here, are gonna be about cash. Cash, right? Cash. We all love it, right? We all love it, right? And we all normally do something for it, right? And the number one truth that I had to learn that was the was actually an untruth that I thought was true. Let's put it that way. An untruth that I had to relearn was that cash was something that you need to have, right? It was an end-all, be-all. And the power, I thought cash was powerful, right? Now, don't get me wrong. Cash, as we know, has its place, right? We use it. You need cash to buy things. You need cash to purchase everyday life, pay rent, buy groceries. For the most part, everything we do in life, we have to use cash. But if you think about it, with the technologies and everything we're using nowadays, most of us are paying with electronically, right? Either it's online, whether it's your debit card or credit card. I don't remember a time where, especially us millennials now, we're not really using cash as much, and we're incentivized to kind of not use it. For me, my credit cards that I use, they just give you rewards, and it's like this whole system that's kind of in a way turning away from cash, right? And cash is becoming a little bit less of its use. I mean, it's still used obviously, but not as much. I was young and growing up in communities where we didn't have much financial literacy. When you saw someone walking around with a pack or a stack of hundreds, right, or a cash, a big wad of cash in their pockets, we figured they were balling, they were making it, they were doing great in life. I wanted to be that individual, right? You wanted to be like that. How can I accumulate that cash and be able to walk around with it and store it in my car, store it in my mattress? How can I accumulate it? How can I show off by having all this cash around me, right? When you start learning about financial literacy, you understand that you don't want to have all that cash. You don't want to have thousands and thousands of dollars cash in your pockets, whether not only for safety reasons, especially here in New York City, but just because it doesn't benefit you. It does. Cash itself, this paper, on a form by itself, it doesn't give you benefits, right? It's just paper, right? The power of cash is what you can do with it, using it as a tool. So when I started learning about compound interest and how your money can actually go to work for you and actually do things that you can't do 24/7, the last thing I want to do is have a lot of cash on hand. Like, the last thing I have cash for emergencies, and you have cash for obviously your everyday situations, with your bills and stuff like that. But other than that, everything else goes to either saving for an emergency fund or investing it, because the only way your money is actually powerful is by investing it, right? As we know, the wealth have built wealth throughout years, not by having cash in their wallet, right? Not by having $1 million in their house, or $500,000 cash in a briefcase and just leaving it in their mattress for the last 40 years, right? As we know, cash, it loses its value through time, right? So as they always, $20 worth, let's say 20 years ago, doesn't have the same value it has now, right? So with time and with inflation and the rising costs of everything that we purchase every single day, the dollar loses value. So if you're in your 20s, like myself, don't prioritize too much cash. Understand it, use it, but make sure you're putting it to work for yourself. Because although we love to a lot of young people love to taunt, to flaunt, and to flaw. I would say flaw, but they like to be flashy and like to show off, and it's cool to have a lot of money in your pockets, and people think that you're like, you're successful or you're doing great in life, but the wealthy individuals see that and actually would understand that you don't have any knowledge about true wealth. If we want to build true wealth, we want to put this paper into ownership, into investing in some type of asset. And we all know what assets are. If you're watching this, we have real estate, stocks, any type of maybe art, any type of monetary, any type of situation that you can buy or asset that can return at a, obviously produce for you returns either in the short run or in the long run. And this is like the laws, if they say laws of money, and something that we didn't learn in school, right? School never taught us why cash has its purpose, but cash alone is not going to build you wealth. When you live in this community that I live in, unfortunately, you get used to having cash because a lot of the small businesses, because they don't want to be taxed or they don't want to pay a certain amount of fees for transaction costs when it comes to credit cards or debit cards, a lot of them take cash only. So you gotta get penalized for not having cash. So I'm not saying that you don't want to have no cash on you. I always try to keep a couple of $100 with me if I need it for anything or anything might come up. It's still valuable for certain things, right? Make quick purchases here and there. But when you're when you're walking around with cash, I'm talking about thousands and thousands of dollars in your pockets or in your household, in your vehicle, you're losing money. And that's the concept of it. You think you have, I have $10,000 right now cash in my presence. And what you're actually doing is that money there alone is actually losing its value. And in a year or two, that $10,000 won't be worth $10,000 because it won't have the same value in the market as it had 2 or 3 years ago. And the same thing goes for savings accounts, right? Savings accounts, I know for me, going to school, another myth they always tell us, just save your money, save, and you're gonna be very well off, right? Saving alone is not gonna bring us wealth. Saving alone is gonna take care of us with emergency funds, opportunity. Maybe you want to save up for something you want to buy, whether it's a house, whether it's your first vehicle, whatever it is you have to buy, you save up for it, great. But after that, you saving all your money, and we looked at the banks, we see the interest rates, how they are, right? Especially at this moment, they're very dismal. Back in the days, 20 years ago, 30 years ago, savings rates, if you look at the old rates, they were actually paying high interest rates. We're talking about 5, 6, 7%. I think mortgage rates were like 17% in those days. Absurd. So it actually paid to have your money in savings accounts. Nowadays, times have changed, right? You're lucky if you're getting 1% in a savings account. So high yield savings that I know of, currently, like the highest I've seen online, you have a bunch of them. I think it's like 0.5 and the time of this recording. And the highest it might go is 1%, let's say. But think about that. You're getting 1%. If you calculate that, compounding interest, it's not gonna give you the true wealth you want in the long term. So we know saving is not the only way. We know cash is not the way. The concepts of learning what money really does. When I was younger, I guess I always say I was younger because when I was in my 20s, these things weren't taught to me or any of individuals that I've associated with that I know of. For the most part, most of us were just thinking that, again, cash is king, and saving most of your money, save as much as possibly you can, save, was taught at a hardcore like belief. And now we know, especially now, that saving is not going to do that. Times have changed. We got to start to invest. Investing is the new saving. If you don't know what to do with your money and you're kind of in between, again, educate yourself. Speak to financial advisors that are going to help you. Make sure that fiduciary, that they're not selling you just products just to sell you the products. Make sure they're selling you things that actually are for your personal goals and personal situation. Everybody has a different situation. Some people could invest. Some people might not be able to invest right now. It depends on everybody's personal situation. And another financial myth that I feel that we were kind of told, and I've learned that it's come to be untrue, at least from my perspective, opinion only, is you have to work hard to make cash, to make money. You have to work hard. Now, that concept behind that, well, I understand. I'm not saying that we're not gonna work hard, we're not gonna do anything in life, and we're just gonna sit at home and expect for the world to give us wealth. But it comes from the workman's mentality, right? The layman, the individual that goes out there every single day and works hard and just works physically exhausting until he can't go anymore, go home and sleep and come back and do it again every single day, right? And we all understand that. And if that was the case, truth, honestly, then the hardest jobs that I've done a lot of, most of my life has been labor intensive jobs. Those jobs would be the highest paying jobs, right? And those individuals would be the richest individuals in the world, and they're not, right? We know that, right? We know how much they get paid. We know they're working class. The way they're labeled, and we're labeled all working class citizens, are not the wealthiest citizens, right? So we understand that working alone is not going to build us wealth, right? Working hard alone is not going to build you wealth. It's going to help you. It's not. I'm not saying that's not going to help you. It's going to give you a starting stone and a starting step, and it's going to give you access to income, which then you use to build wealth. So I feel that these financial again myths that we have been kind of indoctrinated, especially when we're younger, especially if you grew up like myself in a minority household, me with my first generation immigrant family. Our family was just this is what I was ingrained growing up. It wasn't nothing different, right? We didn't really talk about a lot of the things as well. They wouldn't get an education, but they didn't know as well. I know that they didn't have the right resources, but their beliefs is the beliefs that us, especially if you're a millennial like myself, we kind of had those beliefs, right? I know for me, again, another myth that I feel that as a millennial, coming from first immigrant generation family, we never really spoke about like finances, our personal finances. It was kind of like a what's it called, elephant in the room. It was never really a discussion about it. We didn't know what was going on. As long as you're working, you're good, right? Hey, you're working, you're good. And now we know that just because you're working and you have a job, it doesn't mean that you're financially literate, right? It doesn't mean that you're financially stable. We know I myself was an individual with 2 jobs at one point, and I still didn't have $1,000 in my savings accounts, right? 2 incomes. So we know that working hard, like you said, working hard is not the only way to build wealth. And we also know that financial literacy has nothing to do with you making money, right? Making money is not going to give you financial literacy. Financial literacy is something you learn, you educate yourself, you look for resources, you either get mentors or you look for books and you educate yourself, watch videos like this on here. You have to really be intentional with your financial literacy. And it's kind of like desire to learn about personal finances and financial literacy. And we also learned that for the most part, if you ignore your financial literacy, if you ignore your personal finances, you could get lucky. I'm not saying you can't. You could get lucky, and you're gonna be having wealth for the rest of your life, and you're gonna be a wealthy individual for the rest of your life. For the most part, the individuals that build wealth and maintain it and keep it are individuals that are constantly learning and understanding, like personal finances terminology, whether it's retirement accounts, tax situations, whether it's non-taxable situations where you can grow your money. We have the IRAs, Roth IRAs, 401ks. We have different accounts that we can kind of use to help us build wealth. If you are a high income earner, you can have a different path. If you're just a young individual, you can open this. There's a situation for every person and accounts for every person's, and there's so many strategies you can use. But again, it has to come from you. You have to have that dedication and a little bit of interest. I was reading an article today, and it was saying for the most part, a lot of individuals that are financially literate, every month they sit down with their finances and they just kind of stay in touch with what they're, not everything, but they want to make sure they're on track as far as how the expenses are going. Are they putting away? Are they investing? Are they saving? Are they aligning with their goals? Just once a month. It takes once a month for you to sit down with yourself and really figure out whether it's yourself or you or your partner, and see where you stand as far as your personal finances. Again, these are personal myths that I feel like financial myths, especially money myths, whatever you want to call it, cash myths, that I was just thinking about right now off the top of my head, not scripted, and how I wish that in my 20s I would have known this, or I would have at least been exposed to it. This way I could have worked a lot differently, moving to my 30s. Now I'm in my mid 30s and I'm learning about these things and these truths and actual strategies of building wealth. And the only thing I can say is I wish I started earlier. But one of the things that I've also heard from one of the other creators on here by Minority Mindset, which I do recommend you guys watch his channel, very intriguing, very financially savvy channel, is that the best time, they said the best time to plant the tree was 20 years ago. And the next best time is right now. I hope I'm saying that correctly. But it's true. Like, we can go back and be like, hey, I wish I would have started 10 years ago. I wish I would have started 20. But the best time is right now. If you're learning this, if you're watching this, and you're being exposed to this right now, it is your responsibility to start educating yourself more and taking action and learning about the financial literacy world. Why this alone, won't build wealth. Why savings won't build wealth alone. Why talking about individually with your family members or friends about money is not a bad thing. Why understanding and teaching each other is okay. And why also working hard. We're going to go out there and work three jobs, and you want to make more money. You're going to start learning that that's not the only way to build wealth. And it's not to build. A lot of individuals that build wealth are now working 2 to 3 jobs. Some people are not even working at all, and they're building wealth. So it's about generating, different sources of income, investing, and understanding how money works. The more I learn about money, the more I really learn how wrong I was about money. And this is why I started talking about it in my videos here and showing and kind of explaining to anyone that's watching here, anyway, especially you watching right now. For the most part, I learn from other individuals, but I also learn from teaching other people as well. And I think whoever's watching this right now yourself, you should start teaching. You should start teaching because you're going to be learning as well more about money. We, unfortunately, especially minorities, we have been, I think, conditioned or not really exposed to the process and the truths of building generational wealth, or even building wealth for yourself, whether it's for the next 10, 20 years, for you to have a comfortable retirement, or you can have freedom to do what you feel like doing. Think about it. If we were all taught this at an early age, maybe it's on purpose. Maybe they don't want us to have the freedom, right? Because then you won't be able to be, I would say, kind of incentivized to go work a job or something you don't want to do because there's no need for it, right? But if you have no financial literacy, your number one thing is to survive, and you're going to be taking whatever they kind of put in front of you. Now, if you have financial literacy and you understand how money works and you're investing and you're building your own wealth, then you're not out there just taking the first opportunities that comes to you if it doesn't align with you. I'm not saying you're not going to take any opportunity, but it has to align with who you are, what you want to do, what you want to bring to the table, and what really interests you. I think everybody has their own thing, but if you're in your 20s and you're watching this video, I hope that I'm helping and I'm giving you some type of broad knowledge, and do your research, do your investigation, get some books. My other videos, I've recommended some books that I would wish I would have read in my 20s, and just really understand that it's okay if you're not, if you're starting this at your 30s, 40s, or even 50s. It's the fact is that you're starting now. Don't be hard on yourself, thinking that his life is over. I should have done it. I'm too old, or I wish I would have spent $30,000 on my student loans. I've been there. I wish I would have bought that brand new car. These financial kind of mishaps that we all have done, forgiving ourselves for that, and learning from those things. Without those things, you wouldn't have been learning what you're learning now, right? Without those mishaps, you wouldn't be understanding why it wasn't a good deal and why it wasn't a good idea, unless you would have gone through that, right? So I hope you're liking this video. Stay tuned for the next one, and thank you for listening to my TED Talk, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.